What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap show. We got college football week 3. Really some good games, but obviously I want to get off to a good start with Notre Dame. I do think they are overrated. If you can only beat a MAC school barely by less than a touchdown, I think something's wrong. I don't know what it is with Notre Dame, but it's like the same every single year. I mean, we get to the big game and they end up choking in the big game year in and year out. And I just want to know to all the Notre Dame fans out there, the diehard fans, when is Notre Dame going to win a national championship? It's been since 1988, dude. I mean, dude, that's so long ago. I wasn't even existing then, dude. That's how long ago it was. To me, it blows my mind. You know, obviously they're playing Purdue. They haven't matched up with each other for years. But look, Purdue's no pushover. You know, Purdue actually has a good quarterback, Jake Plummer. He's threw for 6 touchdown passes already this season. You know, he's got a star receiver, David Bell, 14 receptions for 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know, that's Purdue coming in to Notre Dame. But Notre Dame, it starts with the offense, and it starts with Jack Cohn. And to me, Jack Cohn, he is a playmaker. He's a good quarterback. And when I say a good quarterback, he could pass in the pocket, and he could also scramble out if he wanted to. I mean, seriously, dude. I like him. 6 touchdowns, only 2 picks. And I think the running game really needs to get better. And that starts with Kyron Williams. He has 120 yards and 1 touchdown. Really quiet for him. We saw last season what he did against Clemson. You know, big games where he broke it out. Even the Bama game, he had a touchdown in that game in the playoffs. So I expect Kyron Williams to come out hot and really ready to play in the whole squad. I think the Notre Dame defense needs to put pressure on the quarterback. They need to put pressure the whole time. I mean, for Notre Dame, it's like you guys are winning games, but yet you're dropping back in rankings. So I think something's wrong there. Obviously, Notre Dame's going to be battle tested really through this whole stretch. I mean, Purdue, they got Cincinnati, Wisconsin. I mean, no, like, you know, gimmicks, but you know, to me, it's like, obviously this year for Notre Dame, it's not one of the hardest schedules Notre Dame's ever had. I mean, let's be real here. It's not like they're playing 2 or 3 SEC schools. So to me, it's like Notre Dame, they have to go undefeated this year. And a lot of other teams are probably going to go undefeated, like Oregon. You know, obviously Bama's going to be in there. Like, dude, it's just some powerhouse schools. But for Notre Dame, it starts with them, dude. It starts with Jack, and it starts with Brian Kelly, the coach, and really to get Notre Dame back in it, dude. You know, to me, it's like, you know, Notre Dame, their points allowed is over 33 points allowed, Notre Dame's, you know, their opponents. So to me, that's not good, dude. When you're giving up over 33 points, dude, that's not cutting it. That's not championship play. I think it starts with the defensive line. They got to get better, man. But I am picking Notre Dame. The 7.5 is a spread. If Notre Dame, you know, barely wins this game too, I'm gonna be like, dude, no way. But I think Notre Dame should come out, make a statement game here. It's a home game. Come out and win by at least 14 points here. I want to see a blowout here. I want to see you guys, you know, really put pressure on Purdue, and really, hopefully the score is 35-0. And then that'll mean, okay, Notre Dame's serious now. They can win big games, you know, if they come out big. So I like Notre Dame at 7.5. I like that spread. I'll take Notre Dame all day, every day. Then we got Nebraska versus Oklahoma. This is an interesting matchup. You know, first time they matched up since 2010, you know, over a decade ago. And this is amazing, man. And to me, Adrian Martinez, Nebraska's quarterback, he's got to have a heck of a game. You know, 4 touchdowns this season. You know, also 34 carries on 256 yards and three touchdowns as well. So I think, you know, it really starts with him. But, you know, Oklahoma, they just have to stop him, really. And I think Nebraska's a little too one-dimensional here. And really, for Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler. Are you really going to be the Heisman winner? Is Oklahoma going to, like, win a national championship? Are you guys going to make the playoffs and yet get blown out again and get embarrassed on national television? Is that what's going to happen to Oklahoma yet again? It's kind of like Notre Dame. We've seen the story. We've seen the movie over and over again for Oklahoma. It's like, I don't know. You know, Oklahoma, dude, is just, I don't like that. You know, since 2010 they matched up, and the winner of that was actually Bama beating Texas in 2010. You know, Bama, you know, yet again, and they'll probably end up winning it yet again. But, you know, Oklahoma's coming into this game at 22.5-point favorites. And you know what? I'm going to take that. I'll take that spread to you sports bettors out there. I would think this is a smart bet here. 22.5. I think Oklahoma, they have a high-powered offense that can score on anybody. The weakness is their defense and their secondary. Are they going to give up a lot of points? Over 17 points allowed per game this year. So I think Oklahoma really needs to clamp down on defense. Obviously, Spencer Rattler, he's gonna air out the ball and do what he does and go off. So I like Oklahoma here. 62 is the over-under. I would go with the over here. I'm expecting Oklahoma to pour on points. Same thing as Nebraska. At least score like 14 or 17 points this game. But I like Oklahoma overall, so I'll go with them. Then we got New Mexico versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M is 29.5-point favorites. Now 30. Some of these lines will change come up to game time. This is just a rough estimate for you guys to really get a feel for it. Haynes King, the quarterback for Texas A&M, he's got 2 touchdowns and 3 picks in only 2 games. And it blows my mind that they're averaging over 441 yards a game. Excuse me, points, that'd be ridiculous. Over 441 yards a game. So to me, it's just like, how's he still throwing picks and yet putting up crazy numbers, right? It's just Texas A&M. That's what they do. And I think their weakness is their defense. I don't think Texas A&M is going to make the playoffs this year. Absolutely not. Now New Mexico, it starts with Terry Wilson, their quarterback. He's already got 6 touchdowns with 560 yards passing. So I like this guy, and he's got to air it out. If New Mexico even has a shot here, he's got to have the game of his life. That's what he has to do. But Texas A&M is 29.5-point favorites. Obviously, a lot of people would take that. I would take the money line here. 29.5 is a lot. And I expect New Mexico to really come out and at least score a couple touchdowns. But, most people will take the 30-point spread, which, hey, that's fine. It's like starting the game, down 30. So it's crazy, these lines in college football. I'll never get over them, dude, really. It's just like, that's insane to me. We'll never see this in the pros, but, I'll go Texas A&M. I'll do the dummy pick, but I think, money line's a smart play. I think it's a smart bet here. Now, a little loose bet would be taking that 30-point spread, but I'll do A&M all day. Then we got Cincinnati versus IU. We saw IU win last week, and then obviously the opener got embarrassed by Iowa. But, for IU, it starts with Michael Penix Jr. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Jack Tuckle, he ever gets in every now and then, the backup quarterback. But I expect Michael Penix to really ball out this game. And this is a huge game for IU, dude. Really, if IU wins this game, this would be like, one of the biggest wins IU's had in years, dude. And they've had some big wins, at home, in the recent years. But I'm telling you what right now, this Cincinnati squad, dude, they're in the top 10 right now, and it starts with Desmond Ridder, the quarterback. As a starting quarterback, he's 32-5 in Cincy. So I think Cincinnati, they have something to prove here, and they want to go to the playoffs. Like I said, against Georgia, they recently lost in the in the bowl games. But look, Desmond Ridder, it starts with him. It starts with the offense. And to me, Jerome Ford, the running back, he's got 4 touchdowns. Tyler Scott, he's got 155 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And really, the surprising here is Cincinnati defense only allowed about 10 points per game. So I think Cincinnati's a complete football team, and they should beat IU here. For me, it would be ignorant to take IU here, since I took IU against Iowa in the season opener. But I got to go Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's only favorite by 3.5, maybe 4, maybe even 5 come game time. But I got to go with Cincinnati here. I got to go with my mind and say Desmond Ridder, the whole squad from the defense, the secondary, they're just better. Now, could an upset happen? Yes. And that starts with the quarterback. And Michael Penix Jr. doesn't throw any picks, plays a great game, smart, controls the clock, runs the ball well, and I think IU really has a shot here. And they can upset them. So this is definitely an upset game alert, but I'm still going Cincinnati. And I hate to go, against IU, dude, since I'm from Indiana. It's hard. But I got to go Cincinnati. I got to bet with my mind here. 49.5 is the over-under. I would typically go with the over here. I think they're going to throw the ball and air it out at IU. I really do. But I got to go Cincy. Cincy, I'll take 3.5 all day. But I would love to see IU get that upset. That would be crazy, man. Hopefully IU can do it. Go Hoosiers. Then we got Virginia Tech versus West Virginia. West Virginia, 2.5-point favorites. Look, Virginia Tech's no joke, dude. They're a complete team right now, and obviously going into West Virginia is hard to beat, man. West Virginia got some ballers. I mean, throughout history of West Virginia, it's been a football. It's kind of like what Indiana is to basketball, right? It's just football. They breed breed it. They breathe it. It's amazing to me, but, what really starts with West Virginia is their running game, and that's Letty Brown, their running back. He's got 32 carries, over 100 yards, and 4 touchdowns. To me, that's great. That's putting up crazy numbers, and I think that's what West Virginia has to do to beat Virginia Tech. Run the ball well. Use that smash mouth, old school football. That's what you got to do. And to me, Virginia Tech, their quarterback Braxton, he's got to ball out. 2 touchdowns. And I think, a lot of it, he can run the ball as well. He's got also 94 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. So to me, it's like, but I think the weakness for West Virginia is their defense. I really do. Their secondary, teams are putting up crazy numbers on them. So I think this game is really a coin flip. Obviously, a lot of people are going to go West Virginia at home. But I think, really if Virginia Tech plays well and Braxton plays, mistake-free, I think Virginia Tech can get this upset win. I really do. But I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia wins. But I'm going to go with the upset here. I like Virginia Tech. They're going to be undefeated, man. This is going to be great. And then we got Michigan State versus the U, another Big Ten team. The U, really, they're not the same as they used to be. We know that, and it's really sad because, really, Miami, they changed college football the way it is today. In the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s. Even back to the 2002 National Championship game against Ohio State when they got screwed over. That should have been a no call in the end zone. They called a pass interference call. Really, it was a bang-bang play, and it really should have been a no call. Just let them play, and to me, they threw the flag on the U, and then they ended up going into, double overtime, I believe, and Ohio State won that game. That was a national championship. And the year before that, the U won. So they were going back-to-back, and to me, it was just bad luck for the U. And ever since then, that Ohio State game, the U has not been the same. Obviously, they haven't got the same athletes, the same players. The U, you just breeds them, from Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, the list goes on and on. Jeremy Shockey, those guys. It's just, the U, they breed it, dude. They really do. Willis McGahee, amazing players. But, for Michigan State, man, it starts with Peyton Throne, their quarterback. He's got 5 touchdowns on 465 yards. And I think, really, they need to get going here. Michigan State has to play with a sense of urgency here. You're playing at Miami. This is a no-joke game. And I really think this is where it goes. Kenneth Walker, the third, 321 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think this is really where it has to go, man, rushing. So I think Michigan State has to run the ball, really mix it up, and just go like that. And then Jaden Reed, he's got 9 receptions on 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michigan State's a complete football team. Therefore, I'm going to take Michigan State. I like Michigan State with the upset. The U 6.5-point favorites. I just think the U, they're just not the same squad anymore. I'm telling you, they're over 33 points allowed per game. The U's giving up. So I think, I think Michigan State can score a lot of points here, get the upset win. I like Michigan State over the U. I'll take that any day. 56.5 is the over-under. You guys can decide that. I would probably go with the under this game. I think this game's going to be a smash-mouth, old-school game. I feel like it's going to be 21-17, somewhere around there. But I'll take Michigan State all day, baby. Then we got Northern Illinois versus Michigan. Michigan coming in 27.5-point favorites. Yet again, Michigan's playing another trash team. It's like, dude, when is Michigan going to play Bama in the regular season or LSU in the regular season? Somebody good, dude. I just feel like Michigan State, they always get these little cupcake seasons. Yes, I get it. They play Ohio State year in and year out. Well, that's a rivalry game. That shouldn't count as a tough game because that's guaranteed, okay? So I just think Michigan, dude, they always get the easy steak here. I really do, man. And to me, what's really surprised me about Michigan this year is their defense. Only 12 points allowed per game. And like the old cliche is, defense does win championships. But they're playing Northern Illinois. And to me, Northern Illinois, it would be a crazy upset. We saw Appalachian State upset Michigan years ago. But I think, really Michigan should get this done, man. And it starts with Cade, their starting quarterback. 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum, their running back, 282 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. I think Michigan wins this game. If you guys think 27.5 is a little too much, I would go with the money line. You can never go wrong with the money line. Obviously, you're not getting the best odds for your money. You can put $100,000 on it and really get some peanuts back, dude. But hey, if you guys are real confident in 27.5, I'll take it. You know what? I'll take Michigan with that. 54 is the over-under. I'll go with the over here. I expect Michigan to put up some crazy numbers against Northern Illinois. Okay, it's just crazy to me. But, I got Michigan. Then we got Bama versus Florida Gators, baby, at Florida. Nobody's giving Florida a shot. Nobody is, and Bama's 14.5-point favorites. Probably come game time, that'll increase up to 15, maybe even 16 come game time. But I think, obviously Bama, they are number one team in the country. They are the team to beat. Bryce Young, 7 touchdowns. In that Bama defense hasn't even given up 14 points a game. Less than that, about 13.5 points allowed per game. So Bama, they are legit, dude, year in and year out. And so many people hate Bama, but they are the team to beat. But does Florida Gators have a shot? And I think it starts with their quarterback, Emory Jones. He's got off to a slow start. Obviously more interceptions than touchdowns. That's an issue, okay? But look, every game's different. You're at your home. You're at Florida. A lot of history there. Nobody's really giving them a shot, and I think 14.5 is a little light compared to what the analysts, the top tier people are saying. What they're calling this game is, at least Bama's going to win by three plus touchdowns easy. It's like, really? 3+? Is that what we're going to disrespect Florida? But I think Emory Jones, he has to play great. And then Anthony Richardson, 275 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. I think Florida, the key here is Florida has to run the ball. If Florida runs the ball great against Bama, yes, they do have an upset shot here. Control the clock. Keep Bama off the field. Keep Bryce Young off the field. And I think that's the recipe to beat Bama, is control the clock. Get those third and 5 plays and barely get the first down. Run that clock down. Time control, really. And I think that's a huge factor to beat Bama. But obviously, I got to go Bama here. They are the team right now. I would love to see an upset. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. If Emory Jones had the game of his life, throws for like 4 touchdowns, rushes for a touchdown, Florida Gators defense just flying all around, giving Bryce Young problems, I think they got to put pressure on him. I really do. You have to put pressure on Bama to have a shot here, or else you're not going to win, dude. You have to put pressure on him. But obviously I'm going to go Bama. 59.5 is the over-under. I would go with the under here. A lot of experts are saying the over here. Let's go with the under. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. But like I said, I could be totally off here, and it's going to be super high scoring. But I think for Bama, dude, it's like, obviously, they know what they are. But for Florida Gators, you're at home here, okay? You're not in Bama, okay? The odds aren't completely against you. Yes, they're against you, but not completely, dude. You're playing in your home stadium, what you're used to. You have that advantage. So I think Florida needs to utilize that and really capitalize off Alabama's mistakes, which Alabama really doesn't make mistakes, right? They're championship caliber team year in and year out, and they just won. So, to me, it's like, obviously, Florida Gators, they have to play a perfect game to even have a shot here, but I got to go Alabama. I got to bet with my head, not my mind. Then we got Kent State versus Iowa. Iowa's coming in as 23-point favorites, and you know what? I think that's a little too much, but I'll take it. Why? Because of their defense. They've only given up about 11 points per game, dude, their defense, and that's a recipe for winning football here. And Spencer Petras, their quarterback, 251 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Goodson, their running back, he's got 2 rushing touchdowns, and that's why Iowa does. They're kind of old school, but in a way they can air out the ball with Spencer. So I want to see some different things for Iowa. But look, Iowa's defense is legit. Let's be honest here. Iowa, they're going to have a tough schedule later on this year. They're going to be tested. But if Iowa can really have that legit defense that we're seeing right now, they could run their table. They could go undefeated. They could go into the Big Ten championship, probably play Ohio State or somebody. And really, if Iowa does end up winning out, 100% Iowa should get in the playoffs. Isn't that crazy to think that Iowa could really get in, dude? It's a little too early to say that, but, I like Iowa here. In Kent State, Dustin Crum, their quarterback, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I just think, man, Kent State's giving up over 25 points per game. Obviously, I got to take Iowa at home, but Kent State, I do think they are getting a little bit disrespected here, by 23 points, dude. But, hey, I got to go Iowa. I'll take them all day. Then we got Georgia Tech versus Clemson. Clemson's a 28-point favorite. And look, I'll probably end up taking that. Like I said, if you guys don't feel comfortable with these, go money line. But look, their quarterback DJ, man, he's just, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting benched later on this season. I just don't know about him, dude. We saw him against Georgia make some key mistakes. And really, but the bright side for Clemson Tigers right now, and a lot of people giving up on them, the bright side is, dude, you guys could still win out, win the ACC, and get in that fourth or third spot in the playoffs. So to me, the Clemson's still in this. It's not over for them. So to me, it's going to be great. But, for Georgia Tech, Jordan Yates, he's got 5 touchdowns. He's going to have to go off here for Georgia Tech to have a shot. Really, though, and you never know. This is why they play the game, dude. You just never know. I think 28 is really a lot. Historically, Georgia Tech does play Clemson really well. They do, surprisingly, right? We kind of like, what? No way. But you know what? I got to take Clemson here. 52 is the over-under. I would go with the over if you guys are really, into betting. But look, dude, I got to go Clemson. I really do. Will Shipley, 12 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns last game. I like Clemson. I do. I think Clemson needs to come out, run their whole schedule. They know what they need to do. Dabo Swinney has them on their P's and Q's right now. And I do think Clemson should win out their regular season and get in the ACC championship. And then we'll really see what's up with Clemson. Then we got Tulsa versus Ohio State. Tulsa's 0-2, another really shitty team that Ohio State plays. Look, Ohio State lost to Oregon last week, and really that was like a playoff game because Ohio State right now, they're on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Let's be honest here. It's going to be hard for Ohio State to get in. Even if they do win the Big Ten championship, it's like, obviously they're going to have other teams with 1 losses, and then they're going to have to compete against, say if Georgia has a 1 loss or Clemson has a 1 loss, who do you put in out of those? Out of Ohio State, I just think you go by the numbers here, but, obviously Ohio State's 24.5-point favorites. I'll take Ohio State at home. Like I said, they just lost last week to Oregon, man, and that was a really close game. I just think Oregon outplayed them, outcoached them, and just outperformed them, and that's why they won the game, dude. And to me, they were underdogs, and I picked Ohio State. I thought Ohio State would definitely win at home. It just made more sense, right? But look, dude, Ohio State, and it starts with their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, and 7 touchdowns, only 2 picks. But to me, it's just like Ohio State's defense. That's their weakness, dude. Over 33 points allowed a game, dude. 33 points allowed per game. That's not cutting it. That's why you guys lost to Oregon, and that's why you guys will probably not make the playoffs this year because of your piss-poor defense. But on the flip side for Ohio State, you still have a chance to get in the playoffs. You really do, but I'll take Ohio State with probably be about 25 points come game time, but 24.5 right now. I'll take Ohio State with that. And then we got Georgia Southern versus Arkansas. Arkansas with the huge upset last week versus Texas. They're coming in 23.5-point favorites. I would go money line on this. I really would, man. Georgia Southern's no joke here. Cam Ramson, their quarterback, last game he went 20 for 34 with a touchdown. They got athletes, man. They really do. Logan Wright, 206 yards and 2 touchdowns. The only downside for Georgia Southern is their defense. 31.5 points allowed per game. That's not going to be cutting it. But look, Arkansas, man, dude, it's crazy, man. They beat Texas. In Texas, we found out what Texas is. Year in and year out, they're overrated, overhyped, kind of like a Notre Dame team. They're just overhyped year in and year out. But KJ Jefferson, it starts with him. 266 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. And then Traylon Smith, their running back, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Arkansas's defense is getting better. Only 19 points allowed per game for that defense. But I think Arkansas comes out hard this game. And you know what? I'll take the 23.5. But I would go money line on this. I think it's going to be a little bit more close. But I expect Arkansas to come out and ball out. 62.5 is the over-under. I'd probably go with the under here, really. But I like Arkansas all day here. I'll take them. Then we got South Carolina versus Georgia. South Carolina's 2-0, and Georgia's 31.5-point favorites here, which is crazy. And it's really given South Carolina really disrespect. Zeb Nolan, their quarterback, 5 touchdowns and only 1 pick, man. And really, South Carolina's 2-0 because of their defense. Only 8.5 points allowed per game, dude. That is crazy to me. But Georgia, they even have a better defense. 5 points allowed per game, dude. And it makes sense why Georgia's undefeated. It makes sense why they beat Clemson in week 1. So I like Georgia here. I think 31.5 is way too much. Go money line. Go money line Georgia all day here. 47 is the over-under. I don't even know to decide that. I would probably go with the under because their defenses are so good, but that's a safe bet. But I like Georgia, man. I really do, but 31.5 is just a little too much. I would go money line Georgia over South Carolina all day. Then we got Stony Brook versus Oregon. Oregon, yes, they have a decent schedule, but Stony Brook, come on. It's like, some of these top tier programs, they always want to schedule, one or two bad teams, just some cupcake teams. I want to see, the high powered programs like Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama, LSU, those top tier programs. I want to see every game a hard game. At least keep it in the conference, something hard. That's what I want to see. But obviously, Oregon, they're ranked number 4 in the country. If the playoffs started today, they would get in, from beating Ohio State last week, which was huge. And it started with Anthony Brown, 408 yards and 3 touchdowns. Crazy, man. CJ Furdell, 235 yards and 3 touchdowns. Look, Oregon is legit, man. And to me, their only weakness is their secondary, giving up a lot of points. I just think Oregon, they run the ball well, and they obviously throw the ball well. So I'm going to go Oregon, blowout win. I would take the spread, money line, whatever you want. Go Oregon all day. Then we got the main game, baby. Auburn versus Penn State. Penn State at home, and they're 5-point favorites. That line might change. To me, this is a huge game for both teams. Both teams are undefeated. This is a primetime game on ABC. And really, for Auburn, Bo Nix, he's got to ball out. 5 touchdowns for their quarterback. And to me, it's just like, dude, I don't know where to begin. And then on the flip side, Sean Clifford, 2 touchdowns. But the thing is, the X factor is Auburn's defense versus their receivers, Penn State's receivers. And they got to stop Dotson. Dotson, this kid, man, he's a legit receiver for Penn State. I do see him playing on Sundays one day. He's got 10 receptions, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns through 2 games. Okay? And the difference is Penn State's defense is only allowed 11.5 points per game, which is crazy. And on the flip side, Auburn's only allowed 5 points per game. So this is going to be a smash mouth football, dude. I cannot wait for this. This is really a coin flip, and a lot of people might go Auburn. You just never know, man. 53 is the over-under. I'd probably go with the under, watch it be a high-scoring game, but I would go with the under here. And I think, both teams have great defenses, legit defenses, so I can't wait for this. I don't really even know who I should pick. A part of me wants to go Auburn, then part of me wants to go Penn State. But I'll go with the home team in Penn State. At home, a primetime game. I think the crowd's going to play a factor here in this game against Auburn and Bo Nix. They got to come out ready. And I think for Auburn to get the upset here, they got to come out fast. They got to take an early lead to get in this game and be in this game until the 4th quarter. I think it's going to be great. But I'm going to go with Penn State, a Big Ten team, baby, over an SEC school. Let's go Big Ten. Let's go Penn State, baby. Then we got Virginia versus North Carolina. Virginia's 2-0, and North Carolina's an 8-point favorite. Sam Howell, their quarterback, really off to a bad start. 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. He also has 139 yards rushing. But, overall, it's just like North Carolina, they're obviously not going to get in the playoffs. That's what we do know. But Virginia, they're 2-0, man. And then Brennan Armstrong, their quarterback, 744 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. And Virginia's defense has only allowed 7 points. I'm going with the upset here. I'm going with Virginia, and I understand North Carolina's a heavy favorite at home. It makes sense. 66.5 is the over-under. They're expecting it to be a high-scoring game. I'm going Virginia, though. I'll take the upset here. Virginia all day, baby. Then we got Tulane versus Ole Miss. Tulane, man, obviously, season opener against Oklahoma was so close. Definitely a couple plays away, man. They really were. But to me, Ole Miss, Matt Carroll, their quarterback, 662 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think it starts with him. And I think, they air out the ball, run the ball well. Ole Miss should win this game by 14 plus. I'll take Ole Miss at home, dude. Now, Tulane, there's no joke. I mean, obviously, they gave Oklahoma a hard game, a tough game, dude. Michael Pratt, their quarterback, 420 yards passing and 5 touchdowns, dude. I mean, dude, this is crazy. And then Tyreek James, 8 receptions, 142 yards and a touchdown. But to me, Tulane, they've, their defense is really not good, dude. Over 30 points allowed per game this season. So I think Ole Miss handles business and gets it done. I'll take Ole Miss at home. Then we got Arizona State versus BYU. BYU with the upset last week over over Utah, which was, I obviously picked Utah over BYU, but hey, hats off to BYU, man. And it started with Jared Hall, their quarterback. Jared Hall, 347 yards passing and 5 touchdowns, man. And Tyler Allinger, their running back, he's got a touchdown. And to me, BYU, the difference is their defense. About 17 points average per game, allowed per game. So I think, BYU at home against Arizona State. Arizona State is the favorite by 3.5. But you know what? I'm going with the upset here. I'm going BYU at home. They proved to me last week against Utah that they can play against anybody right now. And I like that. And Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State's quarterback, he's going to have to play well, over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. But I think this is going to be a coin flip game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. It might be an overtime game, but I'm going to go BYU, baby, all day here. Both teams are 2-0 in this matchup. It's going to be great, but I like BYU. Then we got Fresno State versus UCLA. Fresno State is 2-1. They played, a week before, everybody else did. That's why they have the extra game. But I think, UCLA, man, they are legit. And it starts with their quarterback, Thompson Robinson. 4 touchdowns, only 1 pick, dude. I'm telling you what, man, I like this squad, man. They have athletes. They have the old Oregon coach at UCLA now. I think UCLA is here to stay. They beat LSU earlier this year. I think that was a huge win. I like UCLA over Fresno State. 11 points. I'll take that. I'll even give you guys 14 points. LSU at home against Fresno State. I like that. I think for Fresno State, they're going to have a heck of a game. And it starts with their receivers. And Josh Kelly, 11 receptions, 253 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to have to ball out. And I think, I do. But I think Fresno State, they're kind of one-dimensional. I like UCLA. Go UCLA at home. I like them heavy. And then we got Chirp, Ball State versus Wyoming. Wyoming 7-point favorites here. Ball State, obviously, last week, they did not play the best that we've seen them play. Let's be honest here. They were at Penn State. Ball State's quarterback, Drew, he threw for a pick 6. 2 interceptions that game. It just wasn't cutting it. And I think if he really would have played well, I think Ball State really would have been closer in the game. Maybe down by only 14 points, instead of what it was. But I just think, for Ball State, the biggest surprise to me is their defense of how much they've given up, over 32 points allowed per game. I think their defense needs to tighten up. It starts with their linebackers, really great linebackers, athletes. But I think for Ball State, I think they're going to win. And I think by how they win is definitely Drew. He's going to have to play mistake-free. And I think the offensive line starts with number 77. Shout out to Caleb Slavin, baby. A Muncie, Indiana boy. Shout out to Caleb Slavin, number 77. But I'm going to go Ball State here with the upset. Let's go Ball State. Chirp. I like them over Wyoming, baby. Let's go. What a weekend, baby, for college football. Obviously, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they're going to have to beat Purdue soundly. If Brian Kelly wants to go back to the playoffs this year, or actually next year, he's going to have to, really set some urgency in his players and say, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to blow out Purdue, and it starts with their defense. Let's go, Notre Dame. College football's here, baby. Let's go!